Hello, welcome back to part 5. I'm Maurice Dimba, and this is a continuation of part 4. And today I'm going to show you how we can create further connections on this particular truss. And today I'll pick um, at the apex here. I want to show you how we can create a connection here because, as I had told you, this will be two assemblies of truss. This will be one assembly, and this will be a second assembly. So this will be carried to site as an assembly, and this one also. But all the assemblies will be assembled at the workshop. So once welded at the workshop, will be lifted or shipped to site. Now, let me just show you how we can create some simple connection at the apex here. Now, this is the two plates I had created. And if you take a look on the part 4, we had this top chord slightly colliding with this plate. So it was going slightly inward, and this one was slightly going inward. So I want to show you how we trim off that, though I had already done that, but I want just to show you the best tool that can help you trim it off. Now, once it is, and in this scenario, this top chord was going inside or was colliding this plate, and this one was colliding this plate. So to trim it off, just use a fitting tool. So the fitting tool, you come to edit here. Edit here is where we'll get all and the best tools that can help us in editing our model. So once you click on edit on edit here under ribbon, then come to this drop down arrow under cut, click on that, then pick fitting. So they want to pick fitting. You invoke the fitting command, and if you take a look at the bottom end here, you'll be able to see select object to be cut. Then pick the object you intend to cut. But in our case, it was this top chord that was getting its way inside the plate. So you select this. So when you select the part you want to cut, then come back here and select the surface you want this part to flash to. Then you select the plate right there. Then you'll find that member flashing at the surface of that plate here. Then you do the same thing on the other side. So I think you've gotten something there. Now, once you've done so, you'll go ahead and weld this top chord to the plate. Now, once you've done the welding, but welding will do immediately we are done with the bolt placement on top and the bottom head here. So I've already marked the locations of my bolts. You can see that. These ones are just created using points. So let me just show you how I created my points. I came to under edit here to access the points tool here. Then I clicked on the on points here, and I snapped on this end. I created a point there, and I created a point here. So once I created a point there, I came here and picked on intersection points to create the midpoint in between these 2 points. So what I did, I clicked on that spot and came all the way there and create another point right there. So in between these points, I wanted the midpoint between this point and this point, so that I got this, then I got this point. Then I copied these 2 points at a distance of 20 millimeter. Let me just confirm that. Right click and come to measure. Right click and come to distance. Then I copied these points downward by 20 millimeter. Now, this one is very simple, and I think you can do that. Now, let's create the bolts now using these points. So I'll come to steel here and pick on bolt. So the moment you invoke the bolt command, first of all, if you take a look at the bottom end here, you'll be able to see bolt group. So I'll pick the members I want to bolt. I'll pick this member and that member. I want to bolt those members. Then I right click. Then the moment you right click, your cursor will change to a plus sign, which means the bolt is active. Now, if you take a look on the bottom end here, you'll be able to see bolt X direction. So I'll snap at the first point here, then move all the way and snap on the second point right there. So the moment I snap there, you'll be able to see a warning here, means there's something wrong, and that one we need to rectify. So what is wrong is the orientation of our XYZ plane. So we have to reorient that. So I'll go ahead and close that. So once I've done so, you can see a symbol of bolts already in place, but it's appearing because the orientation of our XYZ plane is not correct. So we have to uh, correct that. So I'll delete that for now. So as it is now, we want to place our work plane tool on the surface of this particular plate. So we'll come to view, then come to more options here and click on the drop down arrow. We can add more tools here. So we have onto object, onto surface, but in this case, we want to use on surface. I always find that very easy to access for a beginner. Now, I'll just place my XYZ plane on that surface right there. So you can see my XYZ plane is on this, is flashing or laying flat on the surface of this particular plate, or it is in line with the surface of this particular plate. Now, if you come to steel here and invoke the tool, the bolt command, we select the parts we want to bolt together. I'll select that member and select this plate, then right click. So the moment you see, the moment right click and see the cursor changing to a plus sign means it is active. Then you start defining the points or the location where you want to place the bolts. So I'll snap on that point that I created and snap on these far end points. So if I snap there, you'll be able to see I have the bolts in place. So this is what I wanted. But the bolts are not exact on the exact location of my points. So to confirm that, always select the bolt, right click and come to hide so that you'll be able to see or take a measurement between the bolts. So we have the bolts here. The first one is in exact point, but this one is way off the point. So how do you correct that? Just right click and come, just left click, then right click and come to distance and confirm this measurement here. Select on that spot and move all the way and confirm this measurement here, because this is the location where we intend to place the bolt. Then snap there. So prior to snapping, you can see on the screen here, you can see 85, a comma, at absolute 0, coordinate. Then the first length you can see is 85 millimeters. So the center to center of this bolt is 85 millimeter. So now we'll go back by right clicking and click show all. So we double click on the bolt here, then come to positions. So under positions here, you can see on the X positions, we have 0 and 60, which means the distance here is from here to the between the center of the bolt is 60 millimeter. Now we want to change this to 85. We'll key in 85 there. So if you go ahead and click apply, we'll be able to see the bolt will shift to that position. So to confirm that, just right click and come to show only selected, hide or show in selected. You can see it is now in the exact position. So right click and show all. So that's how you do it. Now, the next thing we're going to do, we're just going to copy this. And first of all, check the size of the bolt. Double click on the bolt once again. And if you take a look at the diameter of this bolt is 20. M20 is too big for that particular connection. Now we change this to 60 millimeter, then apply and give it an OK right there. So we'll copy this bolt at the bottom end here because I had copied the same points at the bottom end here. So let me just show you prior to copying. You can see the bolt here. The point is here and then the point is here. So I can confirm these measurements. Let me just turn that around and come here, then left click, then right click and pick on make measure distance. I want just to confirm this measurement to let you know that is exactly 85. Now, if I right click and interrupt that, then pick and select on the bolt, then right click and hold, I'll be able to rotate. So I'll right click here and pick and come to copy. So this one, just copy at the center of the bolt here. So I'll just mouse over this bolt so that I get any snapping symbol. So the moment the snap is active, I'll be able to snap right on top of that. So if I close this and come there, I'm not able to see that. I'm not able to actually copy that. So if you find that not copying accurately, what you do, you just follow the same process of bolt placement. So what I'm going to do, I'm going back to bolt here, then select this member and select that plate, and right click and place a bolt from that spot and to that spot. and we have a bolt in place. So to modify this further, we will follow the same process. I'll double click on this particular bolt. Then, since you knew the center to center of each bolt is 85 millimeter, so I'll come first of all here and change this to M16, then apply, then come to positions, position just exact positions of the bolts. So I'll change this to 85 because the upper one is 85. So I'll just drag this by clicking, left clicking and hold, then drag. Then I'll come here and click apply. So you'll see that shifting to exact positions as the ones up above there. So we've done the connection here. This is bolted to that. So the next thing we are going to do, we are going to create some stiffeners here. So I'll come to, since I had offsetted this to this by, let me just confirm that. I'll come to distance, then measure that, and that is 50. So I want to create some stiffeners here. So I'll come to plate, then I'll snap on that spot and snap on this spot and snap on that spot and snap on that spot to create a stiffener. So if I double click on this member, because by default the plate will come at 20 millimeter thick. So the 20 millimeter thick is too thick. So we want to change that to 10 millimeter. So to change the thickness, just double click on the stiffener here, then change this to 10 millimeter here, then apply. So still, if you apply, it's still off the point because it is not flashing the edge of this particular member here. Let me just turn it around so that you can see it clearly. You can see it's not flashing properly. So I'll double click on it once again. I double click once again, and I want this to shift, or this edge to flash this with the end of this plate. So what I'm going to do, I'll come to position in depth, then click on drop down arrow there, then click behind or front. Just play with the two. Behind, or let me just try front. A reason why it cannot apply, or reason why it cannot apply, let's check the general position. The reason why is because the orientation of our XYZ plane is not okay, is not in correct position. So we'll take it back to its global position. So we'll come to view, then click global position. So if you come here and double click here, and we can go back here and change this to give it front. It has moved to its position. So you can see it's flashing with the edge of this particular plate. So we can go ahead and copy it. Right click and come to copy. Then we can just copy this one by one. We'll place a one in the middle here and place another one right here. But on the other end, it will not go with the middle selection. We'll select on the opposite direction of this edge there, then snap here. So we have that in place. Now we want to mirror this the other end, then select that, right click and come to special copy here and select a mirror, not linear. Just select copy special, then mirror. So the moment I click mirror, I'll have my mirror line in place. So my mirror line will be the center of this particular span of my truss. So my mirror line is in between, in the center of this. So I'll snap here, I'll snap right there and snap right there. So that will be my mirror. So the moment I've defined my mirror point, I'll come to options here and just give it an OK to run that command. So if I bring it closer, right click and close this, I'll be able to see I have my stiffeners on this far end. Perfectly done. Now I want to create welding. I want to weld this plate to the stopcock and stiffeners to topcock. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to edit, or steel. I'll come to steel, then under steel I'll come to weld auto, then pick on two objects. I want to weld this plate to the topcock right there. So if I turn this round, I'll be able to see I have my welding already in place. And then I'll go ahead and do the welding once again. I'll weld that to that. I'll weld this to this. I'll weld this to that, that to that, this to that. Then I'll weld this plate to that. Let me just turn that round. Let me just turn that round so that we see it clearly. So I'm welding this member to this member, in this member, right click. Then again, I'll weld this member to this member, weld this member to this member, weld that member to this member. Perfect. So to confirm the welding that are done properly, we'll either select this member, right click and come to assembly. We'll be able to see, select that member, right click and come to assembly. Here select assembly, and we'll be able to see we have this top chord and the stiffeners has been selected, but the plate has been left out. So what are we going to do? I'm going to deselect that and initiate welding once again. I'm going to select on that member, then select this plate and weld it to that plate until we see the symbol of welding. Is when we will be satisfied that the welding has been created. So let me just make sure the welding has been created. I'll come to that spot, select that member, is not accurate. Let me come to welding there, select that member, then come and weld it on that spot. So you can see the welding has been created. So if I come here and select that member, right click and come to assembly, we'll be able to see, we can be able to see that this top chord has been welded to that end plate and the stiffeners in place. Now we can do the same thing this far end. I'll come to auto weld, then pick on this member. I'm not picking the top chord. That's the reason why. So if I select on that member, then I want to weld it to that plate right there. So if I come here and select any part of this, then come here and select assembly, you'll be able to see I have this assembly in place. So if I select assembly right there, select assembly, then show only selected, you'll be able to see I have these in place. I have that top chord already welded, and we can connect that to the other end. So that's how you do that. Right click and come to show all, and let's meet on the next part where I'll be able to show you how we can connect the truss to the column like we do on the portal frame. So we'll create a connection between the truss and the main column. As you can see here at the far end here, we don't have a connection here, so I'm going to show you how we can create connection. Thanks, and don't forget to subscribe. This is Morris Dimba, and let's meet then. Bye bye.